This is where the fun begins.
Anakin's back, baby.
Oh my
Let's
god.
go.
Episode was good.
Half of it was.
Shh. We could smell the positive comments for once because we were going to be agreeing
so
with the Star
happy.
Wars fan base.
I was so happy.
You guys were going to leave good comments, we swear.
You'll be like, they liked it like I did.
But look, we just don't understand some of the writing that they used.
Well, yeah, they just started Deus Ex Machining. But what I really enjoyed was the first 25 minutes. That was really fun. Again, I have my nitpicks about the rest of the story, but it in isolation by itself, I was having a damn good time.
It was really good.
I was loving it.
The episode felt great.
I think you liked the whole thing versus me liking half of it because I've seen more, and it really is just the things I didn't like were references or things that didn't exist until just now. So they come more of a Deus Ex.
Yeah.
But for you, everything's a Deus Ex because you didn't know the Purgles had hyperdrives in their buttholes.
Correct.
You didn't know you could force imprint listen. You didn't know Jedi could speak with animals.
Correct.
Except Ezra can. So it's like Ahsoka's just like doing things everyone else can do. They're the main things, but let's talk about good first.
I think I really liked this episode, and maybe I liked it more because I haven't watched Clone Wars. So I only know Anakin, one of my favorite characters ever.
That's how you remember him.
But like, I only know him from 2 movies where you got 2 movies and an entire TV show to like follow his story and like him even more and just like learn and watch more of him. Whereas like I only have those 2 like mediums. So it's like I got to be like, oh my God, this was him as a teacher, which I never got to see.
I think that'll be a pretty general consensus that everyone fucking loves Anakin in this episode. Like Anakin is great in it, and the way they form that side of the story, it's a little confusing as far as motivations, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
But the first half an hour-ish goes really fucking hard. Like, I really enjoyed that.
I mean, the Ahsoka stuff goes hard. I didn't really care for the whole Hera and her team.
Yeah.
And Hu Yang looking for her. That one I had a bit of a problem with. He was reading Ahsoka's mind. She was in the middle of the ocean having a hallucination.
Or was it real?
He could hear sounds in her mind. He said, you can't hear the lightsaber fight?
Like, see, that didn't bother me at all, really.
And then he unlocked that thought for Hera because she heard it too.
I was just bored by them because all they did, they just existed to pull her out of the water. Like, she didn't need to be there at all. She arrived too late. She arrived for a set piece just to get half her men killed. And then she pulls her out of the water once they get there. Like, they didn't really even need that at all, especially because she doesn't continue past this episode because the Republic's really dumb and they want her back for some reason. They can send 3 star cruisers to go arrest or court-martial a general and 3 X-Wing pilots, but they couldn't afford anything to go investigate a very solid lead. Yeah. And in this episode, they even say that it's not a solid lead, so that's
They're like,
stupid.
do you have any evidence?
But we're talking about positives.
Oh, positives. Hayden Christensen's back, baby. He's back. His acting is great. His lightsaber dueling is great.
They spent absolutely all their money on young Anakin, on the de-aging.
I don't know what they did last episode.
Last episode looked like garbage.
He looked great in motion as well.
Yeah.
He looked great.
He had Hayden's mannerisms, so I assume Hayden was on set doing... there's a little smirk that he does that's dead set Anakin. It definitely must just be a budget thing. Like, we can do it, and I guess we did have to add a lot of smoke and... some interesting
that was a bit annoying.
backlighting.
It's like, it's war, so it's justified. Everything's smoky and sandy.
It's the fog of her mind's war as well, because it's not real.
I guess. But also, we know the real reason. We know the real reason.
So they didn't have to build sets.
Money.
But the only thing that annoyed me about that was the fog was a bit much, but also they're on Ryloth, which is Hera's home planet. And then they cut to the fight on Mandalore, like the Siege of Mandalore. But they look exactly the same because they're both just big smoky messes. You can only tell there's a difference because it's Mando's with which again, you don't actually know about because you didn't watch Clone Wars. Basically, when Darth Maul takes over Mandalore for a bit there, people wear helmets, Mandalorian helmets with Darth Maul spikes.
They look very...
Because it looks cool as shit.
Oh, it looks cool
and
as hell.
It's like, that's literally the only reason why they do that.
And little Ahsoka's fighting looked cool too. She was whooping ass.
And little Ahsoka's acting was good and she showed emotion.
She was great. The overarching tone of this episode, or at least her whole vision quest, is like she's always had a little doubt in the back of her head that the only thing she's going to inherit from her time as like a Padawan and learning from Anakin is that she's going to be evil one day.
I like the idea of that, but they've done no work in this show to show that.
But do you think that's what they were doing?
I think that's what they should have done. I don't know if that's what they were doing. I think it's all a bit vague, left up to interpretation.
Yeah.
As to whether or not that's what they're going for. But I think they definitely should have been going for that, because if they did, I would probably love this whole show. And Ahsoka would have direction the whole time.
The whole show should have been about
the whole show should have
struggle.
been exploring Ahsoka, not let's go get Ezra and do Rebels season 5.
It could have been a really good parallel, and I don't know if there is a parallel here to draw, where she's kind of coming into her own as like a master or like as a teacher to a Padawan, because she does kind of address it like, what am I passing on? But she says it so blatantly. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, you've been a dick to Sabine the whole time, just giving her the cold shoulder. Again, if they had laid any groundwork for it, or if more than a quarter of their audience had seen the Clone Wars, then yes, I would be like, cool.
How are you going to get 10,000 people to watch the Clone Wars?
There's too many people. Young Ahsoka, there was a lot of like her being like, oh, I've only ever known war. And again, that'd be great if that was a through line in the show.
Yeah.
But instead it's been brought up
like
now.
if she loved combat still. Like if she still loved to like...
Yeah, if she felt like she always had to fight.
Yeah.
Which she doesn't. Like in Rebels, she was quite wise and wouldn't fight unless she really had to. Even during the Clone Wars, she wasn't like bloodthirsty or anything crazy like that. So it's a cool idea that they brought up, but it's kind of out of nowhere. So I'm a little bit annoyed about that.
What about they did some really good like crossing over with like Anakin and Darth Vader. Like it'd be like flash a little bit, he turned to Darth Vader, flashback, he's Anakin again.
Lots of cool set pieces for sure. Like again, the first 25 minutes of this episode went really, really hard. Apart from the whole everything's kind of cloudy in the fog of war, which was a little bit budgetary, I guess. I can forgive dumb little things like that. They're just like, that's why I'm so glad the de-aging looks so good.
Yeah.
Because they hinge the first half of the episode on it, really. And legitimately, I'm so fucking happy that it works. It works perfectly, in my opinion. It is the perfect use for it. He looks a little old occasionally, but it's not even distracting if you're not looking for it.
Yeah.
And it's not full CGI Tarkin. It looked like a person. I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah. He just looked great. He was great. I loved Hayden Christensen. Hopefully they can afford to have him back a little bit. But I don't know any reason why they would have him back this show.
He'll rock up at the end and like give her a sub nod or something.
Maybe just as a proper Force ghost this time. Yeah. He's allowed to be a Force ghost now, remember?
Let's talk about that. He might not have been a Force ghost, and I don't think that was the world between worlds.
Yes.
I think they've left it ambiguous enough that they can get away with doing whatever the fuck they want, to be honest. But because I'm against the world, not against, because I don't like the world between worlds really, because it opens up the Marvel problem of multiverses and if you can time travel in Star Wars
just go back in time and kill Hitler in his crib.
Yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't like it because it does open up a lot of problems. I'm happy if they use it in Rebels once and no one can ever unlock it again. What I want to think of it as, in this show at the very least, it's basically in Rebels, Kanan is in a Jedi temple and the Force teaches him a lesson using a Jedi temple guard. And he fights the Jedi temple guard because Kanan never finished his training and he gets to finish his training and prove that he gets an apprentice, which is, now that I'm thinking of it, a little annoying because that's kind of this one.
Yeah.
Like Ahsoka finishes her training so that she can take on an apprentice.
And that's exactly how...
It's exacsly what Kanan did in the thing.
Well, exactly what Anakin said as well. He's like, we're finishing your training.
Yeah, so it's like...
I think it was I think it was more self-imposed like mental block that she had to get past.
Yeah, so it's not the world between worlds. It wasn't Anakin. It was the Force and herself.
But I really wish that they had set this up a little bit better. Like Sabine wanting to come back as an apprentice and maybe her, at least Ahsoka, talking to Hu Yang and being like, I stopped her training, because they never talk about that.
I'm not a Jedi. I can't have an apprentice.
Yeah. And I never wanted to have an apprentice.
Yeah. And then she meets Balin, who isn't a Sith, but does want an apprentice. So it's like, you don't have to be a Jedi or a Sith to have an apprentice. Yeah. As long as you have something to pass, you have wisdom to pass on. Yeah. And again, that would have been a really cool parallel.
Her whole thing should have been, and that's kind of like what this episode was about, is you don't become your master or your teacher.
Yes, so they can help mold you, but you aren't them.
Exactly.
Which again, because in Rebels she does find out that Anakin is Darth Vader, it would be an interesting through line if she was like, oh, I was literally trained by the worst person ever. But also, she's best friends with Luke. What that leads me to is that Luke would have said, yeah, my dad was a really good guy at the end. He came through, I rescued him, and then he threw palps off the edge, and then we're besties before he died. He's super sad, but...
The Force let him be a ghost.
Yeah, like
Sith
I saw him on Endor. He was like smiling,
and he was young and hot for some reason.
He looked really old and white, and then suddenly, when I thought about it again, back in 1997,
he had a freaking mullet.
That would have been a really cool through line, and again, they could have married it with Baylan. Again, it's just missed opportunities. What it feels like for this show. Ahsoka talks to Anakin a bunch, and finishes some training, gets some insight, which isn't super well resolved. She has an epiphany that she doesn't have to fight or die because she's always been fighting
or be evil even
because she was never in peace, which again doesn't match with adult Rosario. So I didn't get that really. I like the lesson idea, but it doesn't gel with the rest of the show. But then once she's decided that she can be a good guy, she is resurrected as Ahsoka the White.
She is,
and it's a little on the nose.
She dons her white robes.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the whole, rebirth thing,
Rebirth from what is, again, my problem. They didn't set up anything.
It's because
if she's happy from now on, if she's like full of emotion,
she smiled for the whole rest of the episode.
Yeah, which is
kind
of
strange.
When they got
in that whale's tummy.
And so it's like, what was blocking her before? Because it wasn't what she got resolved in the vision.
It was the constant doubt in the back of her head that she would become evil. Or a warmongering psychopath.
Or that she always had to fight anyway.
Daniel, you left an imprint here. I can sense it in the Force. I'm sensing back to when you said you hated this episode. At least the second half.
At about the 30-minute mark where I'm like, no, why did they make it shit?
Oh my God.
No.
Literally, his word for word. Oh no. They ruined it.
Once she woke up as Ahsoka the White, things slowly started heading downhill till the end. What my problems were, out of nowhere, she picks up the orb and she's like, maybe Sabine left a Force imprint on it.
Yeah.
And that is a thing that maybe Cal Kestis can do, definitely one guy in Clone Wars use. And the way they've been kind of getting away with these special abilities, like the fact that Ezra has speak to animals, is each Jedi kind of gets a special trait. Cal Kestis in the video games has a special trait. Ezra got one, and a couple of other Jedis have been able to do specialty things. Ahsoka never had one because they kind of made it up later, and they used it for when they needed an interesting side character to come in. And it's like, oh, why is this Jedi coming along for the ride? He knows how to do this special thing.
Yeah.
Why is Ezra different than just finding a normal Jedi boy? He has a special connection with Lothal and Lothcats and Lothwolves and stuff, which it runs through the whole show. And that's how he gets to the world between worlds, because he can speak to animals. So she uses that ability to sense that Sabine has gone with them. And that gives her...
She hears the whole conversation.
Yeah.
It plays in her mind almost.
Like it just felt like a lazy way to explain how Ahsoka now knows what to do next. Point of it, it's like detective mode in a video game.
Yeah.
She literally just Batman Arkham Origins...
Recreated the crime
recreated
scene.
the cutscene. She Vin Diesel'd in 5, watched Letty's car flip. I hate that kind of thing, unless it's done well, like in Sherlock. And if it's smart, cool. This was not smart. And then, sorry, I just got off the rails again. She hears a whale. She hears, ooh, and then she has the brilliant idea to make like Dory, talk to the whales.
Which is another power that she just gets.
Hide in the whale, and then shoot off. But the way she talks to the whales is the way Ezra would, which she has never been able to do, and she can now do because they need to get her there, which makes my prediction video wrong. Whatever. So now we're all going to the other galaxy, which again just makes the other galaxy boring, because how is it different to ours? It's just another galaxy. A galaxy is fucking huge. Why do we need another one? So now we're going to the other galaxy, so that we're all going to meet in the other galaxy. So the Purgles somehow know that she wants to go find Ezra through Force chatter.
But kind of.
And also, they know where Ezra is.
I think they're going to find Sabine. I think she mentions in the show.
Either one is
maybe put the clip up.
I would rather they know where Ezra is.
Says, where are we going? And she's like, I don't know. They don't know.
Yeah, she's
but
like...
But then they also say, they're going to find Sabine. She says something like that.
She's cheerful now because she's Ahsoka the White, which I'd be on board for if we didn't only have 3 episodes left. And she hides in a whale's mouth and they fly away. I feel like what the fuck? It's not unprecedented because Ezra took a ride on one, whereas like she's just like, I'm a magic school bus inside of this motherfucker. Yeah. Like, what is happening? It just got so strange in the middle, at the end there.
Yeah.
And again, the whole time, because she's Ahsoka the White, she's like, hee.
Yeah.
Like, trust in the Force.
It was kind of like the writing was like nice and slow and like methodical throughout the first half. And the second half, they're like, hey, we've got to hit these story beats for next episode.
They had 20 minutes and they needed to get Ahsoka to the other galaxy. Yeah. But they didn't need to get her to the other galaxy.
They needed to bring her back. They needed to wrap up why Hera's in trouble. They needed to add a couple of jokes in there. And then they needed to have her talk to animals, and then they needed to have her make the jump.
Another quick thing you've brought up.
Hera's in trouble.
Yes, Hera's in trouble, but not in the fun way. Hera's getting a stern talking to from Mon Mothma because they're the dumbest fucking republic. No wonder the First Order took them over so easily. They're like, have you caught Morgan Elsbeth?
No.
And she's like, no, but she would have if they didn't hold her up. If she left immediately, they would have trashed through those other fighters in episode 3, gotten Morgan Elsbeth back under control, and then it would have been...
What, so you want the whole series to end in 3 episodes?
I do. I do want a good tight 3 episodes. And then they send 3 star cruisers or 3 cruisers to come get her.
Cargo ships.
Maybe, but they're fucking huge.
Yeah.
They could have... And like a full crew, you need that whole thing manned.
Yeah.
It probably has guns. I don't know. We go to get Hera and Ahsoka. They don't have jurisdiction over Ahsoka. She's not in their army. She's no longer a general. But they've just come to pick her up. And they're like, hey, get in my car. We're going home. And then Carson's like, actually, they're going to take a ride in a Purgle. And everyone's like, the fuck? They say, do you have Morgan Elsbeth? Do you have any proof of any Empire remnant? Yes. There's like 50 droids in pieces scattered around Ahsoka's ship. And then there's a Sam Witwer casing.
Yes.
With probably a little smelly gas still coming out.
Well, like his lightsaber and stuff is still there.
Yeah.
The Inquisitor lightsaber.
There's so many things with proof. And they're just like, yes, that is all. Nah.
Also, nothing captures footage. Ahsoka's ship, Hu Yang.
Ahsoka's body cam. Oh, Hu Yang. He has a memory bank. Yeah, the New Republic's fucking stupid and I hate it. First half of the episode fucking slapped.
Do you like this episode more than you like the last episode?
Definitely. Oh, overall, yeah, probably still.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the first half goes hard enough that I'm happy. I will watch the first half again and be like, hee.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to watch just Hayden Christensen on repeat.
Just interviews with him. I gotta go. I'm gonna get in my Purgles now.
Make like a Purgle and
I'm gonna
and leave.